Welcome to another episode of OG55 Live. Today's live stream is dedicated to the Disney Cruise Lines. We are going to take your questions in regards to the Disney cruises. We're going to give tips, tricks. George has been on a ton of these. Mr. Baller over here. He's the Jay-Z of Disney YouTube. So we're going to take your questions, talk about it, break it down. Disney Cruise Line is the theme of today's live show, up next on OG55 Live. Welcome aboard, everybody, to this episode of OG55 Live. We're talking all about the Disney cruises. We're taking your questions. George the Italiano has been on a lot of these. I've been on two. So we'll give you some tips, some tricks. We'll take your questions, have a good time. But it is a Disney cruise themed live show. So try to keep your questions and comments in relation to the cruise line as best you can. But George the Italiano, welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me back on. It's always a good time. And we never did a live dedicated to the Disney Cruise Line. I know we dipped our toes in the water a little bit, no pun intended, on the Disney Cruise Line, but we never really did a full, fledged live show on it. Yeah. And I thought it would be a good idea because there are people, whether you've done a Disney cruise before, you're thinking about doing a Disney cruise, have doubts of doing a Disney cruise, right? You know, this live might help you out with booking another one, your first one, your 101st one. You know, you just you never know. But I always enjoy the Disney Cruise Line.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you said we did a video about the cruise line. My experience, my trip report, actually, where we dipped our toe into that. You're right. And I remember that video made some waves. It really did. Lucas Kim is starting us off here with, wow, both are in their Hawaiian shirts ready to set sail tomorrow or something. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and dive in, George. So here is the thing. So to kind of break it down, I've been on two in the last 2 years ish. My home ship, I guess, because it's my first one, was the Disney Wonder. Had an absolute blast. I knew I was going to love the Disney cruise experience. I didn't know I was going to love it though, right? I mean, it was an incredible experience. I went with my sister and my mom. We had a great time, you know. World-class customer service. I mean, look, no disrespect to the park cast members, because the park cast members do a great job by and large. But the cast members they get on the Disney Cruise Line are just crazy good. I mean, I've never seen any kind of customer service from any other company, really, like I have at the Disney Cruise Line. George, we'll start with that. I mean, what are your thoughts on how you're treated on these cruises? Because it is pretty crazy, right? How good it is.
It's very top notch. It's very unique that no matter which ship you board, no matter the length of your cruise, no matter which level you're staying at, whether it's concierge or a basic porthole stateroom, they treat all the guests that go aboard the ships all in the same. You know, you don't necessarily have to stay in concierge to get that concierge level service.
And you're right. My first time on the Wonder with my mom and my sis, we did the concierge, and it was incredible. Absolutely. But then the second time I cruised was with you, and we had friends with us, and that was not concierge. That was just a normal stateroom, right? And
correct.
I honestly, aside from some of the concierge amenities, like the little concierge lounge and things like that, the service though overall with the cast members was just as good as the concierge. I mean, it was the quality maintained even though we weren't in concierge. So you're absolutely correct about that. So my second experience without concierge with you and our friends was the Disney Wish.
Correct.
The Disney Wish. So I had two experiences, Wonder, which is one of the older ships, right? And then the Wish, which is right now our newest ship. So I loved it, man. And it's crazy too, because it was my first time when I did the Wonder. It was my first time Disney cruising and first time cruising in general. I'm a big Disney guy, you know, but I got to be honest with you. My favorite parts of cruising on the Disney cruise wasn't even the Disney element of it. I know that sounds, oh my God, sacrilege, but it wasn't even the Disney cruise element. I mean, the Disney element of the cruise. It was more like the nature of it all. Like I love sitting on the balcony, watching the water, relaxing. You see a lot of sea life. Surprisingly, we saw a lot of dolphins. We saw stingrays, seals. I saw a seal basically murder a fish and throw it around. That was pretty intense in front of all these families. It was like, oh my God, but it was crazy. But like the nature element was what really stood out for me. Now I am kind of a tree hugger. You know that, George. When I go to the parks, I've said many times, I like to sit and like enjoy the atmosphere and then the trees and whatever. Yep. So that element for me worked on the cruise line. A lot of people though, like Kaylee, our friend Kaylee over here with 2 E's, she, from what I gather from her, she loves the character stuff. So for her, I think the character interactions and stuff like that would be great for her. But what are some of your favorite stuff, Italiano, in regards to the cruise line? What makes it stand out for you, or is it a whole package?
So for me, it's a whole package for me. I don't think there's actually one thing that separates. I think just being on the ship alone is honestly just enough for me, that when you board the ship from whatever port you're sailing out of, Disney welcomes you. They say your name, as you board. They give you applause. It's a big ordeal. You're in the lobby atrium. You get the whole scope of like what your vacation is about to begin. And I've been on 9 Disney cruises in the last 11 years. And I'm a huge fan of cruising, but I will not cruise with any other company other than Disney. And that's just my personal prerogative. And then a lot of people say, well,
chill.
Yeah. And it's like, well, if you haven't cruised with another company, how could you say that it's bad over the other? Well, that's some of the tips and tricks that I have noticed when looking at different pricing at other cruises and from other people's experiences that relate back to me, that it is. First of all, Disney Cruise Line packages are very not so on the cheap side, but what Disney product isn't at this point. But yeah. I do feel like you really get your money's worth with a Disney cruise, because you get that all you can eat kind of, like the food is your playground. Like everywhere you go on that ship, you could find food, and it's included. Alcohol is not included.
And we learned that the hard way, right, George?
We did, yes. When we got that stateroom bill at the end of the cruise. Entertainment is part of the package. So with all other kind of cruises, they nickel and dime you, even to have. There's certain cruise ships that they charge you to have a seat at a specific location on the ship. And
what do you mean, for dining or?
No, literally, like if you're sitting out on the upper deck and there's like a better like viewpoint where it's like an adult only pool where you can kind of see out into the water, into the ocean, they charge you.
Oh, that's crazy. That's nuts. Man.
And I think that was, do not quote me, I think that was one of the, I don't know if it was the Oasis of the Seas, but I believe it was it was either one of the Royal Caribbeans or the Norwegian. But Disney Cruise Line doesn't do that. And as I said, you're paying more money up front, but I feel like you're really getting your money's worth. And Disney Cruise Line, aside from the parks, that truly feels like a vacation. It doesn't give you that notion that, oh, I need a vacation from this vacation.
No, and that's the thing I loved about it, man, is that like, and everyone's mileage varies, right? Some people love to do the trivia, this, that, and the other, but we did the trivia, and we'll get into that in a minute. But for me personally, though, the standout for the cruise was the chill element of it, of just sitting on the balcony or the veranda and just kind of watching the water and enjoying it, and then you go in and you have a great lunch, great dinner. The themed restaurants are amazing. Tiana's is fantastic on the Wonder. Palo, right? And now Palo's not included. Just for people who have not Disney cruised before, Palo is a very, what'd you say, kind of high end? Is it
upscale?
Yeah. Yes. So that's a little different. That one you actually pay like a normal restaurant.
Yeah. Palo, Remy, Enchante, those ones are an upscale, and there is a very strict dress code. For those, you can do the Palo brunch or the dinner. I've never done the brunch before, but I heard it's really good and it is worth it. I've only done the dinners. But Paolo is more of an Italian cuisine. Remy is French cuisine. And I do believe Enchante is French as well, because that's on the Wish. That kind of takes the place of Remy, because Remy is only on the Dream and the Fantasy.
Okay, interesting. And with Enchante, you got to have your pinky out when you drink, so make sure you do that. No, but yeah, but great food all overall. But Kaylee here, our friend Kaylee with 2 E's, is asking, is it true that Disney cruises have the best character interactions? Now, George, you've been on a lot more than I have. What do you think about that? You think they do? Or is it comparable to the parks for character interaction?
I personally feel if meet and greet and characters is your kind of feel for the cruise, I feel like in comparison to the parks, I do, because I feel there is more limitation in the parks because of the amount of people that is there on a day-to-day basis. On the cruise, you have a certain amount of people where you can get long lines. I'm not gonna lie, but it never gives you that feel that you can never meet them before your trip is over. You kind of have that content that, okay, if I happen to miss them this time around, they will be out. And you can check the Disney Cruise app, the navigator, on dates and times of which character will be at what location. But I do feel like they do give you a little bit more extra time, I personally feel, to kind of interact with the characters. There are certain, like with the Disney Princess Meet, where they're all in their fashionable dress gowns, you do have to make a reservation for that. And they have specific times where you can meet all the Disney princesses at once. But yeah, you can, and then of course you can meet the characters in different attire depending on what day, that if there's something going on. For instance, like for Pirate Night, you can meet Mickey, Minnie, Chip, Dale, Goofy, Donald in their pirate gear. Yeah,
I was gonna say that, and actually, Kaylee, our friend Kaylee, you would love the Chip and Dale because they look so cute in their pirate outfits. I know she loves those guys. And by the way, Miss Mindy is in the house. Miss Mindy was actually on the cruise with us on the Wish this past July. So big shout out to Mindy. And Mindy has a YouTube channel, Sweet Magical Mindy. She does phenomenal stuff. Make sure you check her out on YouTube, Sweet Magical Mindy. And we got a super chat from our friend Mr. Lucas Kim. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, Lucas. OG group cruise trip and recording. When are we all doing it? Well, we are doing it pretty soon. Well, kind of soon, semi-soon, right?
In 2025, we will be doing a cruise. However, I never thought of doing I mean, hey, if anybody wants to join us on the on the cruise, I mean, you want to join, by all means. We'd love to see you on there.
And we can live stream it, and we can do the shows from the top deck or whatever you want to do, It'd be fun. But Lucas, thank you so much, brother, for the super chat. We do appreciate you. Mr. Matthew Murr. Mr. Murr, all the way from the UK. We love Matthew Murr. How would you recommend going about choosing which ship would suit you best? That's a great question, Matthew.
That's George, a very good one.
Yeah, now, George, you've been on a lot of these, so how would you go about doing that?
So far, I've been on all the ships except for right now the Fantasy. The Fantasy is the only one I haven't been on until this upcoming September. I will have the Grand Slam, and then next year when we do the 2025 cruise, it'll actually be all our first times because we're going to do the Treasure. So for me, Matthew, I personally feel if you do just like a little bit of research on what each ship has incorporated in them, because each ship is very different. For instance, the Disney Magic and the Disney Wonder were the first two ships to come online in 1998 and 1999. And they are the smallest ships. So if you want something that maybe, I mean, don't get me wrong, the two ships, they're massive, they're huge, but compared to the other ones, they're even bigger. So, I mean, if you want something a little bit more quaint, maybe like for a first starter, maybe start off with the Magic or the Wonder. If you're like my boy OG and you like Rapunzel, definitely go on the Disney Magic because Rapunzel is kind of engulfed in the Magic. They have the live Broadway show performance of Tangled. They have the restaurant that's themed to Tangled. If you are more into a like Tiana for the Princess and the Frog, definitely check out the Wonder. I mean, that restaurant, Tiana's place, I feel like I actually can say I think that's my favorite restaurant.
You know what's crazy about that restaurant? Crazy in a good way, by the way. I'm not putting it down, but that was actually our first night on the Wonder, right? We did Tiana's for dinner, and I was really surprised at how fantastic that experience was, because you have all that New Orleans music and the energy in there. They're dancing, the music, you know, the whole thing. But this restaurant is located at the back of the ship, right? And it really balances. Like, you're moving, like you feel it back there, you know? Now, you would think that normally that would be kind of a bad thing, right? Kind of annoyance. In a weird way, though, that kind of added to the energy, the ruckus kind of like party New Orleans vibe for me personally. Everyone's mileage varies, you know, everyone's different. For me personally, the bounciness and the music and everything kind of added to the experience. I thought it was pretty awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Absolutely. Now, my home ship is the Disney Dream, because that was the very first ship that I got to experience. The plus side for the Dream and the Fantasy, they both have the Aqueduct, which is the first kind of water coaster to be implemented in the Disney Cruise Line, which is a lot of fun. I highly recommend, even if you're not a big thrill seeker, I feel that anyone can enjoy the Aqueduct. It basically takes you around the perimeter of the whole entire ship on the upper deck. You get some good views, you have some fun, you get a little wet, but it's not too thrilling. I think honestly, if anyone has ever been to the water parks at Walt Disney World, if you've been to Typhoon Lagoon and you can handle the Crush and Gusher, which I think is a little bit more intense, you could definitely handle the Aqueduct. And the Disney Wish, the Disney Treasure, and I'm for sure the Disney Destiny they're going to have the Aqua Mouse, which is the first actual official attraction based at sea, that includes like a little storyline based off of the new Mickey Mouse shorts.
You know, Crusher Gusher and the Aqueduct. That just sounds like a normal night for George. Freaky deaky, you know? Mr. Tech Bear, a friend of ours. We love you, Kev. We love you. It was great meeting you, actually. I've met you before, but it was great seeing you again a few weeks ago. Awesome.
And it was very good to actually meet you. I mean, we talk a lot on social media and everything. So to actually sit down, have a conversation, meet you in person, it was awesome. We definitely have to do it again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. He's saying Disney cruising. I'm a pro. See, you and George, you get along. You guys are both pros. I'm not a pro. I've gone on 2, which is a decent amount, but nothing like this guy, man. This guy, I told you, this guy's the Jay-Z of Disney cruising. He's like, you know,
I think maybe Kev, how many cruises have you done? Put it in the comments. I've done 9 thus far, soon to be 11 after September.
Look at that. Look at that. It's almost as high as your body count, George. I know. Let's see what we got here. We got Lucas Kim. He says, wow, both are in their Hawaiian shirts ready to set sail tomorrow or something. I know, right? I wish we were setting sail tomorrow, man. That would be awesome. Dude. Oh, man, that'd be great. Mr. Matthew Murr, do either of you tend to use the pools much? We did, actually. Mm-hmm. I was hitting up that top deck. I think it was the adult jacuzzi up there,
it was
right?
The adult jacuzzi
on the Wish, and man, I love it, dude. I love it, Matthew. I mean, yeah, I don't do the regular pool because I don't like cold, you know. So if there's a jacuzzi, I'm there, you know. Absolutely. What about you, George? Are you a pool guy? I don't remember you using the pool much. Maybe the jacuzzi, but
yeah, I use the jacuzzi for that particular cruise, but I do use the pool. I like the adult pool. Mm-hmm. Well, it depends on which ship, because some of the adult pools are a little bit, like for instance, the Disney Wish, the adult regular pool was a bit underwhelming for me. I've heard the Disney Fantasy adult pool is phenomenal, because you kind of get like your it's like up on the upper part of the deck, where you just kind of get like your own area to yourself. But speaking of that, I find that very unique to the Disney Cruise Line, that a lot of people think you have to have kids, you have to go with your family to enjoy a Disney cruise, and that's not the case at all. If you're a single adult ready to mingle, you know, that's fine. If you're a couple you know, and you have no kids and you want to enjoy, you can enjoy a Disney cruise without even really focusing on anything that has to do anything with kids. You know, they have different sections for adults only. They have different activities, different excursions.
Actually, speaking of the adult activities, you, myself, and Mindy, who's in the chat right now, Miss Mindy, and again, subscribe to her on Twitter, Sweet Magical Mindy. Seymour, thank you for putting her link in the chat, by the way. We appreciate that. Yes. We went to that club.
Oh, best moment on the cruise where we actually did nothing. We were supposed to, like, OG and I were ready to like rock out and fist bump and like dance the night away. And literally we went on a cruise where it was like a bunch of newbies. They were greenhorns. Like, they didn't know what was going on. After they did the karaoke, well, let me back up a little bit. So we went a little early. They had karaoke night before they were having the dance party. And there was this and Mindy had gotten herself a drink.
She did.
And it was like filled to the brim. And she was sitting next to me. OG was on the other side. We were in the back, like by the in the booths, right. Farther back. And so she started, because it was late and everything, and she started like drifting to sleep. So she was going like in and out of consciousness. And we're watching this the karaoke, and this guy gets on, and he's singing a song from the Phantom of the Opera. But of how he was portraying it, if anyone has seen the raunch comedy Forgetting Sarah Marshall, when Jason Segel is singing at the end, and he's singing like Count Dracula. That's how this guy was singing Phantom of the Opera. And we're just watching, and Mindy's going in and out of consciousness, and she wakes up to this guy singing, and she turns to me, and she's like in her sleep, and I quote her, and she said, "What the fuck are we listening to?" It was bad. And we were sitting there literally waiting for the dance party to come up. As soon as karaoke was done, that place like scattered. Like it was like as if you had a room full of roaches and someone turned on the light. It was like it was and we thought, what dance party are we having? There was literally nobody there. It was dead.
Oh, man.
But it was hilarious. I think it was one of the best moments, I think. Because
we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna get dressed up, we're gonna go clubbing tonight, you know, we're gonna dance, you know, it's gonna be fun. And we sit there, we're like the only three motherfuckers in that club. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Kaylee with 2 E's says here, what would you call this season of shirts? This would be banana and palm tree button-up season. Kaylee, officially. Absolutely.
Is that I guess the best way with a combination to call it a banana hammock?
Yeah, exactly. It's banana hammock season. Absolutely. And the girly nerd joins us. Marianne, it is always awesome to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. The fashion is on point, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Marianne. We appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see here. Brian, Disney seems to be investing heavily into cruise ships. I think 3 new ones on the way. That is correct?
That is correct. I'm actually glad you brought that up, Brian, because Bob Iger had just touched upon this during that conference meeting several days ago, where he brought up the cruise line, that the cruise line industry in general is booming right now, and the Disney Cruise Line is definitely part of that effect. And he had mentioned, along with Disneyland Forward and Fantasy Springs, that is about to open in Tokyo Disneyland. Those are the 3 hard-hitting investments that are showing in the data right now. So Disneyland Forward, the Disney Cruise Line, and Fantasy Springs. And I thought that was very interesting, because he also mentioned too, part of the data, that a lot of adults seem to be going on these cruises without families or without children, because of the IP that they are implementing in these cruise ships. For instance, when the Disney Treasure comes on board, there's going to be a bar and lounge areas that are designed like the Haunted Mansion and the Jungle Cruise.
I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, I think that's clever. Like, a lot of people, it's kind of a controversial thing. Like, people are kind of split in the fandom in regards to how heavily Disney should get into the alcohol stuff. I'm fine with it. You know what I'm saying? I think the mindset towards alcohol has changed since Walt Disney was around. I mean, we have to understand this man died in like the mid 60s. You know what I'm saying? Times evolved. You know, when Walt was alive, you were able to smoke in a restaurant. You can't now in most places, right? So times evolve. I think it's fine. I like the themed bars. I think the themed bars are some of the better executed stuff Disney has done in recent times, you know, with like Trader Sam's and stuff like that. I think they're really fun. And as long as Disney, though, there's a caveat. I mean, as long as Disney, though, still employs cast members that really keep it in check, because you don't want anyone belligerent or crazy. You know what I'm saying? They have to put a cap on that stuff. From what I've seen anecdotally, they seem to do a really good job. Yes, you will probably find an example. Well, what about this time, OG? What about that time, OG? I understand that, but for the most part, I think the cast members do a really good job at mitigating the potential craziness around drinking. So I'm fine with it, and I think the Haunted Mansion bar is fantastic. I wish they would actually bring a Haunted Mansion bar to downtown Disney here in Anaheim, but you know, probably won't, because you know, I don't know, reasons. Because, you know, they can't even figure out where Earl Sandwich is going to go. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm so glad you cleared that up for us, OG.
There you go. It's official. You heard it here first, folks, because reasons. The Rogue Attraction, friend of the channel. Sup, OG? What is up, Rogue? Rogue is awesome. And he also has a YouTube channel. He does a lot of in-park vlogging. Make sure you check out Rogue Attraction on the YouTubes. Kaylee with 2 E's. Question for George, and George specifically. Is there a buffet? Oh,
okay. So here
we go.
There's a story behind this question, and this is why she has laughing emojis.
Uh-oh.
So her and I were having a conversation through messaging about the cruise line, and she had asked me this question, and I had mentioned, yeah, there's actually 2 buffets depending on which ship you go on. The older ships, the Magic, the Wonder, the Dream, and the Fantasy have cabanas. And the newer ships thus far, starting with the Wish, and I'm for sure moving forward, is going to have Marceline Market. So she messages me back saying, I kind of knew they had cabanas and snacks, but I'm wondering if they have buffets. And I'm like looking at the message, and I'm like, okay, I'm lost. Like, I don't understand the message. And I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to write back. I'm saying cabanas and Marceline Market are the buffets. And she said, oh, I thought you were actually talking about cabanas, like actual cabanas. And I thought Marceline Market was like an actual market that gets snacks.
That's funny.
And it was just like, funny. And I don't know why, just like in that moment, it hit my funny bone. Yeah. And like, I could not stop laughing. That's I literally could not. And I texted her and I said, you got me rolling. Like, I literally could not stop laughing. I had tears coming down my face. It just struck me like she's saying, like, yeah, I know they have cabanas. You know, it's a cruise ship. You're going into the Bahamas. Why wouldn't they have cabanas? But I want to know about the buffet. And I'm like, it is the buffet.
That's hilarious. Who's on first? Who's on second? Basically, right? Yeah. That's hilarious. Really, really, really funny. Yeah, and actually.
Sorry, folks. We just got a little bit of a technical difficulty there. OG will be back. Let me see here. Let's see. So let's see. Lucas Kim, speaking of a buffet, I'm being asked to leave, let's see, out of my buffet right now since have 5 minutes left. Let me see. Oh, so sorry, folks. I was just getting a message from OG. He'll be back in a minute. He had a reboot. Okay, let's see. If I ever go, okay, this is from the Girly Nerd. If I ever go, which ship do you recommend? And what is the ideal cruise length? Okay, good question. Good questions, I should say, Girly Nerd. For me, Well, you're definitely a fan, just like OG, of Tangled. I think you would really enjoy the live Broadway show of Tangled. Also, the restaurant. Plus, with the Magic, it is the first ship to ever come online as part of the Disney Cruise Line, and it's, as I said, it's one of the smaller ships compared to the newer ones. So I would suggest the Magic, but honestly, I always tell people, if ever given the opportunity, I don't care what the destination is, I don't care what the ship is. If I have the opportunity to go on a Disney cruise, I'm taking that opportunity. Length of time. My very first cruise that I took, because I didn't know exactly how I would actually feel, like if I would get seasick or what have you. I did a 4-night. But to one's own, I mean, you could do a 7-night or a 6-night or even a 5-night, and you could be perfectly fine. It's just to your own. But coming from me, I think I always say to people, without a shadow of a doubt, the second you go on a Disney cruise, you're hooked. Once you do one, you want to do more. So I honestly say, if you could save up the money and you could afford it, do the longest length of a Disney cruise as you possibly can, because once that cruise is over, you're going to be wishing that you did a longer cruise. Let's see. Wish if you like new. Oh, Lucas Kim was saying, wish if you like new, but if it's a short amount of days, do the Magic. So if you're doing a smaller type of intimate cruise, maybe start off with one of the smaller ships. Or, as I said, I started off with the Dream. I went out with a bang. But I did the 4-night on the Dream. But I also did a land and sea vacation. So I started out at Walt Disney World and then finished off with a cruise. And that's always fun, because you can kind of have that hustle and bustle of the parks. And just when you think that you're to the point of exhaustion of all the running around and the Florida heat and what have you, it's like the next day you get to go on a cruise. And what better way to have that part? I know, like, part of the relaxation. I know people can say, well, you could start off with a cruise and then do the parks. You can do that. I've done that before, but I prefer to start off at land and then move to sea. Let's see. Mr. Tech Bear, aka Kev, start with a longer cruise, 5 to 7 days, and then subsequent cruises can be shorter. Let's see. Brian, I've been on multiple different ships, but never on Disney. Don't know if I can justify the cost, even though I want to try it. Just feels like I can get 2 vacations for one. And that's very true, Brian. As I said earlier, Disney Cruise Line is very pricey. However, I can justify the price because there's a lot of things on other cruise ships that will nickel and dime you, where it ends up adding to that amount anyway, even though you don't see it up front. But honestly, when they say in their promotional videos for Disney Cruise Line, the difference is Disney, I actually believe that. That's not just blowing smoke. And Slimers be sliming. How you doing, bro? Let's see. This is your kind of topic. Absolutely. And nice shirts, fellas. Very Florida. Yeah, that's what we were going for. OG and I were talking about, kind of getting dressed up for the occasion, since we were talking about the cruise line. So we got on our Bahama gear. Let's see. Let's see. Where am I here? The girly nerd OG sounds like me. I'd enjoy the relaxation element, watching the water. Honestly, that's the best way to do a Disney cruise. Really, it's something where you can do the activities on board, and I do enjoy them. I loved watching a lot of the late night adult themed shows and the clubs, going to the Broadway shows and everything. But it's not where you have to do like every single activity that's on board. You kind of pick and choose. And honestly, just going up to the top deck, having yourself a drink, watching the ocean, sitting out on a deck chair, watching a Disney movie on the big Jumbotron screen. I mean, come on, you can't pass it up. Let's see. And then Googamp. How you doing, Googamp? Glad to see you in here. Let's see. Why does Disney get bashed for using IP in the parks while Universal never gets bashed by using nothing but IP in the parks, some of which Universal doesn't even own? Yeah, it's just one of those things, Googamp. It's like the way of the way of the land. It's like Universal in a way can never do no wrong, and Disney, it's like, it's like, how dare you, sort of thing. But don't get me wrong, there are a lot of classic attractions that are not IP, such as like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Expedition Everest, what have you. But I think honestly, in today's time era with the generation growing up, I really don't think that they care whether it's a non-IP or not. They want to utilize what sells, and there are lots of IPs such as Frozen, Zootopia, Marvel, Star Wars. They sell the brand, so Disney wants to capitalize on that. But I definitely agree with you. It's like, people bash Disney all the time, and it's like Universal could do the same thing. And it's like, well, it's Universal, they don't have the same standards as Disney, but it's like, but you're making the excuse for them, so I don't know. Continuing, Mr. Tech Bear, Pella Brunch is amazing. Yes, I have heard it is very amazing. As I said, I've only done dinner at Paolo and Remy, but I am very curious doing Palo Brunch. I might do Palo Brunch maybe on one of these next cruises coming up. As I said, I got 2 coming up in September, believe it or not. One in the very beginning of September and one at the end of September, and then a cruise next year at the end of summer, beginning of fall of 2025. Let's see. Mr. Seymour Duck in the house. How you doing, Mr. Duck? Let's see. Just finished work, and it's your weekend. Time to watch OG55 live. Well, so glad that you're able to join us, Seymour. It's always a good time having you in the chat, bro. Let's see. Mindy said, "Where's Wheezy's Freezies?" Yeah, that's another story. This cast member, bless his heart, he had a little bit of a language barrier accent for us to. We were trying to figure out where to get a alcoholic Dole Whip, and we couldn't understand what he was saying. And then when we finally got to find the area where he was saying Wheezy's Freezies, but that's the name of the little bar up at the top deck. And Mindy said, yep, I am getting the Grand Slam this September for sure, Mindy. And Mindy's also replying to Matthew's question, do the Disney Wonder first. It's her favorite ship, which actually, as I said, the Wonder is a really good one too. That's the one that has the Tiana dinner. And as I said, it feels like a big Mardi Gras party. They hand out beads. They do a little parade. Lewis comes out and plays the trumpet with the band, and Tiana makes an appearance. It's just a fun, good time. And honestly, just the Wonder in general is just a wonderful experience. As I said, all of the all the ships, you can't go wrong. Let's see, Mindy. Okay, so me and Mindy we're both tied with 9 Disney cruises, and yes, that is true, Mindy. We are Disney cruise junkies. I do love the parks. Don't get me wrong. I will always be a parks guy. I still love going to the parks. But if I had to pick and choose, and someone said, "Would you do a vacation at a Disney park or a Disney cruise?" Hands down, Disney cruise. Let's see. Oh, okay, Kev. So you did 6. Nice. Let's see. Brian, they must have good Italian food on board. Yes, they do. As I said, Paolo is an Italian cuisine. I do enjoy Paolo, but even in the rotational, I know it's not quintessential Italian food, but there is there is a dish that's part of the pirate dinner, and it's called, I believe, Captain Jack's Treasure of the Seas, and it's a type of pasta, but it's not with a typical marinara sauce. It uses another kind of sauce. I don't know exactly what it is, and they put light dusting of Parmesan cheese on it if you prefer. I know OG does not like Parmesan cheese, but I do. But and they have shrimp and scallops in there with some, I believe it's cooked spinach, I believe, like leaf spinach. And it's actually really good. I enjoy that. I get that every single time. Anytime I'm on a Disney cruise and it's pirate night, I get Captain Jack's Treasure of the Seas pasta, which I hope that they still have it. They better have kept it. Let's see. George is a this come from Mindy. George is a spa guy. I am a spa guy. I do love a good massage, a good rub down. I'm not going to lie. I also enjoy the Senses Spa. You can, when you board the Disney cruise ship, make sure that, like, if you like to go into the rainforest room where they have the heated chairs and the showers, and it's just really, I actually fell asleep in those heated chairs. It's no lie. It's very relaxing. And the one thing that I love about the Dream and the Fantasy, even though I didn't go on the Fantasy yet, but I know the Fantasy has the same features as the Dream. You can actually look out into the ocean while you're on the heated chairs, which is phenomenal. But anyway, so when you board the ship, make sure you go get a Senses Spa day pass to go into the rainforest room for how many days that you want to do. If you want to do a 3-day, 2-day, if you want for the whole length of your stay, you can go in there day and night, go in and out as you please. Just make sure you do that because they fill up very quickly. And I believe that they don't have that notion to do it online. Like the other excursions, you have to actually go to Senses Spa when you board the ship. Let's see. Slimer, what time do you start drinking? And what's your first drink trying to get a baseline? And then Mindy responds, I think George doesn't have a start and a finish. It's just a DCL all day binge. Just kidding. Day drinks. Yeah, that's actually true, Slimer. I don't really have like a start date. It's like, or a start time. Whenever I'm in the mood for a drink, I will say one of my favorite drinks, call me crazy, don't judge me. It's a Bahama Mama, and I always get and Mindy knows, I always get a Bahama Mama. It's a tradition when I'm on Castaway Cay. I get on my hammock. I have my Bahama Mama. I lay out, on Castaway Cay, get some sun, go into the ocean, and yeah, that's that. Let's see. Oh, and Mindy was also saying she has pictures of that, and she actually does. She took pictures of the nightclub when we were talking about when we thought we were going to dance the night away. And let's see, Slimer saying, good, I'm looking for that weekend at Bernie's level of fun. Nice. Let's see. Kaylee saying for Chippendale. Let's see. And Girly Nerd, I need to start saving my pennies for 2025, I think. As I said, Girly Nerd, I think... I would definitely suggest that if you want to do a Disney cruise, I strongly recommend it, honestly. And as I said, we are doing a cruise in 2025. We're going to do the Disney Treasure. It's going to be me, OG, Miss Mindy, Mr. Webba, possibly Slimer. He's like in the middle ground right now, so we'll see. But as I said, if anybody, we'll get the details out at a later time. We're just trying to finagle the trip itself, but it's definitely going to be on the Treasure. And once we do, if anyone is planning a trip around that time or thinking of doing the cruise at that time, join us on the ship. It'll be a great time.
Absolutely. So where did we leave off, George? I do apologize, sir.
Oh, not a problem. So I actually started to go through them as where you left off. So the last one I just did was Girly Nerd. I need to start saving my pennies for 2025, I think.
Gotcha. Okay, there she is. Okay, so then we have Kev, Mr. Tech Bear. My last cruise, I did beer tasting, wine tasting, and mixology, and left each of them drank, and drunk. Yeah, I believe it, brother. I believe it. Yeah, it'll catch up to you. I got tipsy here and there on that ship. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. George and we drank way too much, man.
Yeah,
way too much,
especially on vacation. But we had to. We were on a cruise ship. I mean, come on, it's just the atmosphere. Well, I mean, after the fact we got the bill, then we're thinking, oh my gosh, what did we do? But
yeah, well, and then Castaway Cay is amazing, and they have those little shacks where you can go up and get like a mixed drink or a beer. It's just so good, man. It's so freaking.
And then we also got our souvenir tiki mugs.
I got mine right there. It's pretty awesome. Mr. Googam32, now that we have an entire generation of Marvel and Star Wars fans who have never known a time before Disney owned them, will the fan base of both franchises become less toxic? Googam, we're actually focusing today mostly on the cruise lines. But to answer your question real quick, will the fan bases of both franchises become less toxic? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Toxic fandoms it's a norm now with social media and everything like that. It's not going away, unfortunately. It sucks, but no, it's not going away, not anytime soon, at least. Mr. Lucas Kim, any Asian cuisines on the Disney cruises that you can remember, George? Anything on the?
They may have some kind of Asian inspired, kind of like egg rolls and spring rolls and stuff like that, like up at the buffets and stuff in the little outdoor venues. However, Lucas, I would actually, now that you mentioned it, I think it would be awesome because the route that Disney is going with these rotational dining restaurants, they're turning them into more experiences, more so like dinner and a show. So they started that off with Tangled on the Magic, then moved it with Princess and the Frog on the Wonder. Now they're going to be doing the same thing with Coco on the Treasure. But now that you mentioned with the Asian cuisine, honestly, I would love to see something inspired with Mulan and maybe do a Mulan based kind of restaurant where you have that kind of Asian culture tied with the Asian cuisine, and maybe where they could do a little show where the soldiers come out and they do their acrobatics and dance and stuff like that. That'd be really cool.
That would be cool. They also have Raya the Last Dragon, which I know she lived in a fictional area, but it was heavily inspired by Vietnam.
True.
You can do something with Raya and maybe Vietnamese, with pho and banh mi and all that stuff. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, there's options there. But you're right. I mean, at least on the Wonder and the Wish, I don't remember any Asian cuisine off the top of my head. I can't think of any dedicated.
I don't think, as I said, you might find some venues that on the ship that may have an egg roll, a spring roll, maybe some lo mein or chow mein or something like that. But I don't think they heavily go on the Asian cuisine, which is quite sad because I actually enjoy Asian cuisine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's really good. Like I said, but many times, and I think our buddy Tones said the same thing. Korean barbecue is where it's at. I mean, Korean barbecue is amazing. BJ Vincent here says, hey, OG and George, are you considering taking a cruise to New Zealand and Australia or Europe in the future? I'd love to. New Zealand or Australia especially. Those are, oh gosh, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, I would definitely consider it. Right now, they're more so doing a test run right now of the Australia and New Zealand. As far as I know, I think they're only doing 2, 3, 4 nights, I believe, out of Australia. I don't know. They may have extended them to longer cruises because I think they're trying to see the demographic of that culture to see where Australians fit in Disney Cruise Line. Is it something for them? But they've been getting a lot of positive feedback, I hear. So I think they may be doing more in the future. And then any kind of European cruise, whether it's to Italy or Greece, excuse me, I think would be really cool.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. When I was on the Wonder, which was November of 2022, our concierge team, they were actually after our cruise was done, they were saying that they were actually getting ready to go on that Australian cruises. They're going to be part of that team, the inaugural, whatever. So
Nice.
it was kind of interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it though. It sounds, Australia, awesome country. The Rogue Attraction, get any weird looks going solo on a Disney cruise? Have you gone solo, George? Or
I've never done a solo Disney cruise yet.
Now, does he mean solo in terms of like no kids? He might mean solo like just a bunch of friends or something.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
If you could just clarify that. Do you mean solo as just going by yourself with no one, or solo as in going maybe like with your partner or what have you, but just no kids?
Yeah. As far as we're concerned, we didn't get any weird looks, I certainly didn't. And
as I said, I think they've been looking at the data, and they said there's a lot more adults going on Disney Cruise Line without kids.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Miss Mindy here says, here is the thing I tell people about the cruise lines and taking a Disney cruise and justifying the cost. Carnival Cruise Line is comparable to Motel 6. You'll get the basics and have a Disney cruise is like, and a Disney cruise is like staying at the Ritz. It's 5-star service no matter where you stay. You get what you pay for. There is a difference for sure. Yeah, you do get what you pay for with Disney Cruise Line. It's worth it.
I think Mindy's being just a little bit lenient on Carnival. I compare Carnival to the empty cardboard box that's out by the dumpster in the back of a Motel 6.
Isn't Carnival the one that's having all the issues with the...
They've had so many issues. It's not even funny.
Catching on fire or whatever.
Yeah, they had that. They had passengers needing rescued by actually Disney Cruise Line, I might add. Disney Cruise Line had to rescue how many passengers from a Carnival cruise? They had that elevator incident. It was just... Yeah, you couldn't pay me to even give me a free cruise on Carnival. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's too many accidents, too many things going on. Brian here says, yeah, I hear it's amazing, Miss Mindy, and clearly people pay the price, so it's justified. I never feel, with the Disney Cruise Line, I never feel like ripped off or like we didn't get the money's worth. It's incredible. He goes on to say, I think I'm just more into the destinations, like having done Alaska. Sounds like I need to try Disney. Yeah, you should definitely give it a shot. I think you'll like it.
And if you do, Brian, want to do like another Alaskan cruise, Disney does do Alaskan cruises on the Disney Wonder.
It's like isn't it like out of Canada or something?
I believe it's out of Vermont, I believe.
Oh,
yeah.
Vermont.
Yeah. I think it's Vermont.
Are you sure? You sure it's Vermont? You mean Vancouver?
Not Vermont. Wrong V. Vancouver. Sorry, folks. Vermont.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Wrong V.
Yeah, wrong V. Oh, Dragon Blood HD. I'm going on my first Disney cruise next year. What should I do? It's going to be on the Magic. Go ahead, George. You've been on the Magic before.
Yes.
What would you give advice to Dragon Blood?
I am very excited for you. Actually, it's always, I love, even like with the parks, I love taking and seeing people's first time experiences with anything of Disney. Like if it's their first time at Walt Disney World, their first time at Disneyland, and the Disney Cruise Line is no exception to that. I love watching people's first reactions. So I'm very happy for you, very excited for you. The Disney Magic, as I said, definitely check out the Tangled Broadway show. You'll get the rotational dining. Yeah, I just think, and all in all, as I said, just take your time and enjoy it. Relax, live in the moment, because don't always have that assumption with something of Disney, because you're so used to the parks that it has to be that rush, fast pace, hustle and bustle. You don't need to do that with a Disney cruise. And also, too, I must add, they do have touches of Disney everywhere, but it's very subtle. It's not always in your face, like everything is like, bam, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald, Goofy. If you want to meet the characters, that's your prerogative. But I mean, even just in the architecture and the decor itself, it's very elegant and upscale, but it does have the little tweaks of Disney in there.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's very elegant is a perfect word for it. Absolutely. And Mr. Lucas Kim, thank you so much, Lucas, for the $2 super chat. We do appreciate you, sir. George says, I'm going solo, lo. Now, George, you might not understand that reference. That's actually a Jenny solo song from Blackpink. It's a good one too. You might want to check it
I
out.
might have to check that out.
It's a good one.
Really quick, Ian Grimm
Yeah.
says, "Do you watch movies on the ship? And if so, do you like it? I would love to do cruise, eat, watch movies." Oh, absolutely. There's several ways you could actually watch movies on the ship, and I've done every single kind.
You've made movies on the ship, huh, George? Freaky boy.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That's for the OnlyFans, folks.
Right, exactly.
So there's nothing like after coming back to a long day of having fun, of relaxing and doing nothing, than to do more relaxing in your stateroom. And while you're drifting asleep, while you're floating on the high seas, they actually have Disney on demand on your TV in the stateroom. They have like an array of Disney movies, Star Wars movies, Marvel movies, Pixar movies, live action, animation, documentaries, you name it. You can have it right in your stateroom, and you can order room service, which again is included with your cruise line package. It is very highly recommendable that you tip your server that brings the food. But it's to your own prerogative of if you want to do that, and how much you want to give them. But room service is included. Another way to watch movies, as I mentioned earlier, the big Jumbotron screen up at the top of the upper deck where the pools are. You can lay out on a deck chair, be in the pool, watch a Disney movie from there. That's always fun. Also, they have movie theaters actually in the ship as well for new upcoming movies, and I have seen 2 movie premieres actually on the cruise ship itself. I've seen Moana and Zootopia premiere, and they held that in the Walt Disney Theater.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of options out there, and they do hold. Yeah, you're right, George. They do hold movies that are in theaters at the time on the ship. You know, they do it quite often. So I think when I went on the Wonder, I think it was, what movie was that? I think it might have been Black Panther 2, if I'm not mistaken. Might have been on that ship, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
And I wasn't there for the premiere, but I actually saw Ant-Man for the first time. It was in theaters, but I just didn't see the premiere. But it was on. But I actually watched Ant-Man for the first time on Disney cruise ship as well.
Nice. Girly nerd. Did you do excursions on your cruises or stick to the ship? Castaway Cay looks beautiful. So for the Wonder, we went from San Diego to Cabo, Mexico. And we got off the ship, and there was like a little town or village when you get off, and you can get food. They got like little gift shops and stuff. It was okay. I mean, we didn't stay too long because it does get a little irritating because there's a lot of people trying to sell you stuff, and they're pretty like aggressive about it. So we went on the island for like a little bit, and then we just got back on the ship and we didn't do any excursions that day on the Mexico cruise. But Cabo was absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. Now for the Wish that we did, we went to Castaway Cay, which is just absolutely insanely beautiful. The water is like swimming pool water. You can see to the bottom. I mean, it's incredible. Now be careful. Word of advice. We were there in July, and I don't really burn easily, to be honest with you. I just get tan usually, but I got pretty burnt over there. The sun hits different. You're closer to the equator. It's hotter. I had a t-shirt on, and it went through the t-shirt. So
he turned into Julio Iglesias that day.
I did. It was pretty wild. So be careful of that. Make sure you put on plenty of sunscreen and keep applying it if you can. Yeah. But yeah, girly nerd. I mean, I haven't done any of the excursions. Castaway Cay, would you call it? That's not even an excursion, I guess. I mean, it's
no. Yeah, I've actually, I don't even know if I ever really done any of the excursions. For me, I just love being on the beach. I love being on the island. I just love relaxing.
Now the excursions aren't Disney though, right? These are
some you can go through Disney, but others you have to then go through a third party through Disney, so to speak. They are an additional upcharge depending on what you want to do. But as I said, there are some that are very beautiful, like whether or not it's not in Castaway Cay, like you can do the the oh my gosh, the parasailing. You can do jet skis.
And that's in Vermont, right?
That's it. You're never gonna let me live that one down, are you?
we got Kaylee and Mindy here. That's so
Vancouver,
funny, bro.
yeah, because I'm thinking like, yeah, it's coming out of Vermont. Like, yeah, definitely. And when you said Vancouver, like, oh shit, yeah, I meant Vancouver.
That's great. That's great. BJ Vincent here says, well, Disney has many ocean cruises, and I know there is a river cruising with Adventures by Disney, but do you think Disney might expand on river cruising?
There is a possibility. I don't know, like how big of like of a fandom there is for that, but I do know it does book out for ABD, Adventures by Disney. So they might, but I think I think honestly the bigger demographic is definitely just for the cruising on Disney Cruise Line for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe is in the house. This shit is bananas. Look at bananas, right? Hold on, we got maybe in the house. So you know what that means? We have to do the maybe drop.
Cause I'm that girl that drives you crazy, but you're killing me alone. Got you thinking maybe alone. Got you thinking maybe alone. Got you thinking maybe.
There we go. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next comment, which is from Alessio Pasquale. Hoping I get to go on a Disney cruise one day, maybe for my 30th in 2026. Any advice for Alessio? First time, 30th birthday? Anything that you would say to him?
I say,
to do that, George?
I say go for it. If that's something that you truly want to do, I will never discourage anyone that is thinking about doing a Disney cruise. As I said, I don't care how old you are, if you're going solo, if you're going with a family, you're going with your significant other, what have you, no matter what the occasion, if you could find, or just a because cruise, that's what I call it, just a because cruise.
Just because.
Yeah, if you have that opportunity, I say take it, because as I said, once you step foot on board that very first time, it's literally it's like a drug in a very good way. It's like you become very addicted. You get bit by the cruise bug.
Yeah, and absolutely. And you'll never sleep as good as you do on a Disney cruise. Like that bed with the rocking of the water was like, oh my gosh, perfection. Absolute perfection. Brian here says, thanks for the input. Can you discuss Castaway Cay, that Disney owned island, what you like or don't like about it? Cheers. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, this is the thing, man. There's not much about it that was bad. It's a gorgeous island. White sand beaches, clear water. You can see the bottom. You can even see little fish. I know that wasn't exactly Mindy's. Mindy has a thing about the ocean, but that was funny. That was funny.
Oh my gosh.
I'm that way with elevators, so everyone's got a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think it was more so like it's not the funny, like, because everyone has their fears, their phobias, their it was just in the moment, like it was just funny. It was hilarious. Like literally, like she literally wraps herself around me, like locks her legs around me, and she's like hanging on to me for dear life, and I'm just standing there, and I'm like, literally, and I quote, this is exactly what I said, "This is new."
Well, that's how I am basically when I'm in a claustrophobic room. So same idea. Everyone's got something.
So Brian, to answer your question, yeah, I love Castaway Cay. I can't wait to experience Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point. It's the new Disney owned private island in the Bahamas. For Castaway Cay, there is one notion I will say to people over at oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. The adults only section part of the beach, where you have to be I can't remember if it's 18 or older or 21 or older.
That part, actually, for some reason, I feel like it was less maintained.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's there's
rocky.
A lot more rocks in the water. You have to be careful when you're walking in there. I feel the water is a little bit more aggressive, so to speak. But if you go Serenity Bay, thank you, Mindy. I couldn't think of it. But if you stay over by the family beach, by Pelican Cove and what have you, I enjoy the family beach, even though it could be a little bit more crowded. But that's the thing too about Disney Cruise Line. You can't consider the same type of crowding as you do in the parks. Like you can have a ship filled with people, every single stateroom filled up. But at the same time, yeah, you will have like little clusters of people depending on if there's like a big activity going on. But you always feel like you have the ship to yourself. Yeah. If that actually makes sense.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Lucas Kim here says, are there any all-inclusive type services? If not, what does booking cruise amenities cover? What say you, George?
As far as like getting any kind of like
because you got to
if you do like if as I said, if you do a like the rainforest room is part of Sense Spa. If you want to get a massage, if you want to get a facial, if you want to get a haircut, a shave, those are all separate. As far as the service for dining, aside from like Paolo, Remy, Enchante, as I said, room service and everything, that's all included. As I said, tips are highly recommended to your servers, especially at the end. They always ask for the minimum, but if you could give a little bit more, and honestly, that's not me encouraging to do so. I think honestly, every person who goes on a Disney cruise at the end, that the cast members on there deserve every penny.
Oh, absolutely,
and then some, because they really do the job.
Yeah, it's like out of a scale of 1 to 10, they're like a 13. It's crazy. Mike here says, aren't the new release movies an upcharge, or is it included?
Nope, it's included.
It's in the big theater, right?
Yeah,
that they have
it's included. Yeah, so like when they did the premiere for Zootopia and Moana, normally the movies are in the Buena Vista Theater, which is the normal movie theaters. But for the big premieres, they hold in the Walt Disney Theater. And if you are going to go to one of those premieres, they usually hold them kind of late, because they usually like to try to hit it at midnight on the day of that it premieres. And even though it's kind of late, you can get pretty packed depending on the movie. And Moana was filled, but Zootopia was crowded. Like the whole theater filled up. So definitely get there early if you want to get a good seat.
I think on the Wish, I think they were actually playing the Pinocchio live action, weren't they?
Oh, that's right. They were going to premiere. Like everyone jumped at that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know, right? Oh man, I tell you, that was interesting. Marianne, Girly Nerd, says, I don't care about excursions. I just want to go and relax on the beach, but my pale as moon skin needs 3 layers of sunscreen. Well, you definitely have to be careful, Marianne, on Castaway Cay, because I'm not someone who burns very easily. I just get tan, and I burnt like crazy there. And I put
with a shirt on
and sunscreen. So it was but also it was like July. So, I mean, it also depends probably when you go, but yeah, it's pretty intense. Absolutely. Let me see here. Oh, Mindy's funny. Miss Mindy here says, hell no to the open water at Serenity Bay. My favorite is the fact that characters walk around the ship all of the time. You'll end up in an elevator with Cinderella. Have you ever ended up in an elevator with Cinderella?
I haven't ended up in an elevator with Cinderella, but I'll save some other things for another story. I'm trying to think.
We got time, George.
Yeah. No, but I have had. He didn't actually go in the elevator, but I did have an experience with Goofy where he was out by the elevators and he was greeting guests as they were coming out of the elevator on that particular deck, which they didn't know. So he was kind of like not jump scaring them, but just kind of like giving them a little bit of a surprise. And I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. The cool thing about the Disney cruise too is that like it feels like a family. I know it sounds super cheesy, but it does, because
it does. It really does. You get attached to the cast members and the crew, and it's like by the time you leave, they do feel like an extended part of your family.
Yeah, because when you go to the dinner every night, you get the same server every night. And so they remember your preferences and like, oh yeah, you want the Pellegrino with the lemon, your usual.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's a very family, cozy kind of environment.
I've actually had a server on 2 Disney cruises. And she actually recognized me. She remembered me. So shout out to Melissa, who was the server on the Disney Dream.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Shout out to Melissa.
And oh, you were saying, bro? Oh no, I was just going to say, I had touched upon a little bit with the pirate night, where everyone gets dressed up in like the pirate attire and everything. But there was one thing I did forget, and this is the quintessential part that makes Pirate Night one of the most anticipated fun nights during any Disney cruise, and that is the fireworks at sea.
Oh,
and
gosh.
Disney Cruise Line is the only cruise line in the cruise industry to do fireworks at sea. And what is very smart, what Disney did was the little capsules, the pellets that they shoot off the fireworks, it actually, when it breaks up and it evaporates down into the water, there's fish food inside. So even though that they're providing fireworks for us as entertainment on board, they're actually feeding the fish.
You told me, I thought that was super clever, super creative, and it's good. It's better for the environment and everything, obviously, than having the traditional kind of fireworks. And George, I was surprised too when I was on the Wonder. It felt like hurricane force winds that night. Okay. I'm telling you, it was so windy we could barely stand. And we asked our concierge lady, like, are they still going to do the fireworks? Because we're Disneylanders, I mean, any little wind blows, it's like it's canceled. You know what I'm saying? And she looked at us like we were crazy, like, oh, hell yeah, we're doing them, Like, what?
Well, if you actually remember on the Wish, the night of the fireworks, we were in that one section in the Bahamas that rained. It poured down rain. Yeah. And the one thing on a cruise is you can get rain, but because you're moving at a fast pace, the rain lasts like 10, 15 minutes. But it was a torrential downpour, and the whole deck was completely, honestly, kind of flooded a little bit.
Yeah.
And they had the pirate deck party going off in 1 hour. We stood up at the top deck, me, OG, Mindy, we literally watched this crew all together in unison literally dry out the deck by scooping all the water, drying it out, and it took like 20 minutes, 40 minutes before showtime.
Unbelievable. It was like crazy efficient, crazy good. I'm telling you, the service, everything about that cruise experience is second to none. Absolutely. Donnie Land is in the house. Donnie Land, good to see you, Donnie. And Donnie has a great YouTube channel. Make sure you check out Donnie Land on YouTube. Marianne, the girly nerd. My parents sold me on cruises, but you guys even more so now, even without Richard Sherman. Yeah. Now cruising, I mean, I've only done the Disney cruises, Marianne, to be honest with you. But it's a great experience. It's a really cool experience. It's fun. It's relaxing. Good food overall. Actually, before I had technical difficulties, I did want to say this. Speaking about the food, the one thing I didn't like about the Wish was that top buffet. Is it Marceline's?
Marceline Market.
Yeah, I felt like I was in an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon where the background keeps repeating itself. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I was walking. I'm trying to find you guys, and everything looks the same. Like it's like repeated over and over and over again for like, it feels like miles, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was kind of weird. That was like the thing I didn't like about that ship.
It's a bit like annoying, obnoxious, it's like, when you're trying to find somebody, yet it all looks the same. And it's like, yeah, I'm over by the, I'll just say like the vegetables. And it's like, well, I'm over by the vegetables. And here it's on the whole other side because they have the same stations.
It's literally like there's a block of these stations with the marquee and everything, and they just repeat that same block like 30 times. So you don't know where you're at. That's the only thing. The design on that top area with the Marcelines was the only thing about that ship that I was like, kind of like, not so great. Donnie Land says here, thank you so much. You are very kind. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Friend of the channel, Donnie Land. Make sure you go check him out. So, George, what are your expectations? We're talking cruises, right? Mm-hmm. For these new ships coming out. Like, do you think that because for example, that one cruise ship, the huge one, that's going to be coming out, I think Singapore. That that Chapek bought for like pennies on the dollar. It was an existing cruise ship that he bought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll start with that one. Are you worried about that one because it wasn't constructed by Disney from the get-go, or do you think Disney will go in there and kind of?
Well, they said it was 75% completed as far as the actual amenities of the ship itself, and I feel like Disney kind of went in there, changed some things up a bit, put the aesthetics that would appease them in the Disney fashion, but I think they more so kept the actual build of it the same, because no matter what, the Asian culture has different trying to think how to put this. The Asian culture has their own likings, so to speak. So they were already building this ship specifically for the Asian market. Now it's just Disney-fied because Disney had bought the ship, and now it's becoming the Disney Adventure. So I think, and honestly, I think this was a very good call on Disney's behalf because the Asian market was craving a Disney ship. So Disney basically gave it to them, and I think it's going to be very, very good in the cruise market. The sister ships to the Wish, the Treasure, and the Disney Destiny. I feel like they're going to be kind of mirrored a little bit with like the Wish, like they'll have like Marceline Market. There will be some differences to them. The Disney Treasure is going to have a Broadway style production of Moana. Disney Destiny didn't give any specifics, but they said the main storyline for the Destiny is going to be heroes versus villains. Okay. And they had kind of teased a little bit, like in a comic book style fashion, where Hercules was kind of interacting with Minnie Mouse and Hades and everything. So I'm wondering if there's going to be a live stage production of Hercules on the Disney Destiny, especially because of the name Destiny. You know,
well, I was going to ask you about that. Any word on Star Wars for the Disney Destiny? Because that seems like a perfect fit for something for Star Wars.
I'm for sure. Now they do also. Now they used to do the Star Wars Day at Sea,
right?
But now they more so do Pixar Day at Sea and Marvel Day at Sea. I haven't seen anything come out of anything of Star Wars, but they have the Hyperspace Lounge that's on the Wish right now. So far, nothing has been mentioned, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do incorporate something of Star Wars. Yeah,
it seems like they might. Matthew Murr here says, can you get Disney on demand on the cruise line?
Yes, absolutely, Matthew. Yeah, that you could definitely get Disney on demand. You can get all Disney movies, animated, live action, Pixar, Lucasfilm, Marvel. You can get all documentaries, shorts. You can get all that stuff.
You know, it's interesting too. We talk a lot on this channel about like the gap between the normies and the diehard Disney fans like us and stuff, and how there's been a lot of talk lately about IP in the parks because Bob Iger made those comments right at that Q&A recently. But when we went on the Wish and we were in that Marvel restaurant, because a lot of Disney diehard fans, they don't like a lot of the IP, especially Marvel integrated into the parks. You know, it's not really a pure Disney property. They acquired it. So you hear a lot of complaining from fans, oh, Marvel, you know. But I got to say, man, when we were in that Marvel restaurant and Spider-Man came out, it was like you would have thought they rose Elvis from the dead. I mean, it was so crazy. People were climbing over each other to see this thing. To see this guy. It was absolutely insane. So the normies are eating it up. Actually, another restaurant I loved on the Wish was the Frozen one. That was
another good one. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Frozen on the Wish is just like Tiana's on the Wonder, Rapunzel on the Magic, soon to be Coco on the Treasure. And also too, I forgot to mention Animator's Palette, which was an original restaurant that started off on the Magic and the Wonder, which they are still on. I prefer Animator's Palette on the Magic and the Wonder. I love how they bring up the animation where it starts off as black and white, and as you progress through your dinner, they pipe the coloring through the walls, and it brings the animation cells to life with all the color. And Mickey comes out during the finale to the music of Fantasmic and what have you. The Dream and the Fantasy, their Animator's Palette actually has a built-in Turtle Talk with Crush, which is cool. It's very interactive. It's cute for the kids, but I enjoy the Animator's Palette on the Magic and the Wonder for sure.
Yeah. Oh, animated palette's really cool. We did that one, and you can draw your character, and then they animate it on the walls. I just love that whole thing. Really, really cool stuff. Let's see here. And actually, on that one, quick story. My mom, for whatever reason, that night felt really nauseous. She felt sick. I don't know if it was like motion sickness or whatever, but she felt really, really sick. And this is the kind of customer service that we're looking at here. Our waiter, because they asked her what she wanted and this, that, and the other. And she was saying, you know what, just like some hot tea or something. I don't really feel good. And he was like really caring for my mom. Like it was like super sweet. Like he was like, he got her some sliced apples and thought maybe this might like, kind of help your stomach and stuff like that. Like it was like, oh my God, this is like the nicest service I've ever seen in my life. It was incredible. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. I mean, seriously, it was insane in a good way.
I will say to that really quick, if anyone does get seasick or gets motion sickness or anything like that, not saying that you will, but you just never know. Always bring the appropriate
Dramamine and stuff like that.
Dramamine and stuff that you might need. And if you do forget it, they also have a clinic on board as well, and they also have a little shops that you can buy those stuff as well.
Yeah,
but they basically have everything at your need.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, and everyone's mileage varies, but for the most part, unless you're like in the back of the ship, like Tiana's Palace or Tiana's Place, I think it's called, that's the rockiest I felt. But if you're just out and about, it's a little bit, but it's not like super crazy. Well, I guess it depends too on what the weather's like and all that. But the 2 times I've done it, the motion hasn't been like really that intense, So if you're not like super sensitive to it, you probably will be okay. But if you are sensitive to like getting car sick and stuff like that, yeah, definitely look into it. Like George was saying, bring your own Dramamine or something, or get it in the gift shop. BJ Vincent here says, do you feel at some point that Disney will retire a Disney cruise ship from active service and convert it into something similar to the Long Beach Hotel, the Queen Mary? It's interesting. They might do that, BJ. What they might also do is take it apart and then sink them. And that's part of the scuba diving thing over at Castaway Cay, Castaway Key, right?
So for me, and that's actually a very good question. As of right now, especially since they've done, it's not recent, but I mean, Disney keeps up with their ships every single day. They've won so many awards for Disney Cruise Line. It's not even funny. So they constantly keep up the maintenance on those ships.
The Wonder, which was the first one I went on, which is an old ship, like from like 98 or something, right? 99. Yeah. 99. Looked like it was brand new. So, yeah. I mean.
And to that point, they have dry docked those ships and had reimagined them. So they have updated them. So it wasn't any time like recent, but I mean, it has happened within the last, I'd say between like 5-10 years. So I don't necessarily, because they put money into those ships, basically where they literally ripped out the interior, repainted the ship and everything. I don't necessarily see them doing that. I could see that as time goes on, but I don't think that's going to be for a very long time. After these 3 new ships come on board, the Treasure, the Adventure, and Destiny, Disney will have 8 ships. And a lot of people think that's a lot. Disney is still new at this. They're still a baby in the cruise line game. 8 ships are nothing. There's cruise lines that have 25 plus ships, and they still go. 8, to me, I feel like would be detrimental if they took out any of the ships.
So I'm not a cruise person. I'm new to the cruise stuff, right? George, what do they do when they decommission a ship? Typically, whether Disney hasn't done it yet, but these other cruise companies, do you know what they do with them?
Majority of them just become scrap metal. They don't really. Yeah,
they don't do like what the military does, where they sink them in the middle of the ocean or something like that. And
I mean, I know a lot of people say they do. I don't know if they do every single ship. They may do certain ones for certain purposes. As far as I know, they just more so become scrap metal. Sometimes they may take pieces of them and reuse them for future ships. But as far as I know, they just pretty much dismantle them.
That's interesting. Yeah. Wow. And I didn't know that. A lot of these other companies have a lot more ships. So Disney has a ways to
ships.
go with only 8. I mean, that's not a big amount, you know?
Yeah. And that's why I was saying it's not that far-fetched that 20% of that 60 billion is going to go towards Disney Cruise Line. And a lot of people are saying, well, yeah, they may retheme, revamp, reimagine, and they could do that, and they should do that. But they had mentioned Disney Cruise Line of part of that expanding of the experiences. So how do you expand a ship? You add more ships.
And this is one of my criticisms of the Disney park fan base. Not everybody, obviously, but like there's this mindset where if like it doesn't matter to me, it shouldn't happen, right? Because I see this a lot too with like the studio stuff. Well, they should just studio should be back burner. Just focus on the parks. Well, no, this is a company that needs all their divisions running at top speed. You know what I'm saying? And I see a lot of that same kind of mentality with the cruise lines and park fans. Well, I don't really do the cruises, so who cares? Just put that money towards the parks. But this is a company that has to look out for every division and what's best for them financially and everything, right? And return on investment. So like you were saying, George, there's a lot of money to be made in the cruise line world. And so that's why they're investing in it. And it's a smart thing to do. And the Disney cruise lines are like top rated. People love it. Why wouldn't you? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
So me personally, I think with that 20% to expand the Disney cruise line, we're going to be having 8. I think honestly, they might be looking at 10.
You think they'll announce more at D23 or is it too soon?
It may be a little bit too soon for the cruise line because they may announce more in depth of what's coming on board with the Destiny and the Adventure. But who knows? They may throw in a curveball and say, "Yep, we're adding another ship, or we're adding another 2 ships." Because actually, to his credit, Chapek did the same thing at one of the D23s. We were only looking at 2 ships, and he said, "You know what? We're adding an additional one. There's going to be 3 ships."
Yeah. Hey, you never know. They might add the ninth ship might be the Italiano. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you never know.
As many times that you've been on the cruises, maybe they will. You know, giant Italian flag, you know, and everything.
Cinderella on the elevator for everybody.
Fantastic. Marianne here says, so Coco is the Treasure's main theme. Is that the main theme?
Not necessarily, Marianne. What they tend to do is they'll pick a franchise or an IP that really works well with music, like with Frozen, Tangled, Princess and the Frog, and now Coco, where they incorporate that in one of the rotational dinings. What I love what the Disney Cruise Line does is they don't just stick to one IP, but they'll take several. So Coco will be one of the main focuses as far as the rotational dining. But Aladdin, Jasmine, and the flying carpet are going to be the statue that's going to be placed in the lobby atrium, because the lobby atrium, when you enter on the treasure, is going to be very Middle Eastern, and it's going to have that Arabian kind of feel. So you're going to have the main statue in the lobby atrium of Aladdin and Jasmine riding on the flying carpet. But then you have Coco that's going to be part of the rotational dining. And then they'll pick a character that'll be on the back end of the ship. For instance, they use Tangled, I believe, on the Wish, where Rapunzel is kind of like hanging on the end part of the ship with her hair, and she's painting.
It's a great figure of her, too. It looks really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, believe it or not, if anyone has never seen the documentary of the building of the Wish, definitely check that out. I believe it is on Disney Plus as part of the National Geographic portion. But believe it or not, that Rapunzel statue is a lot bigger than what you really think it is.
Yeah. Oh, it has to be on that huge ship. It has to be so you can actually see it, you know?
Yeah.
Wild. Donnie Land here says you are exactly correct. OG55. Even though I am not into the cruises, but company wise, you're right. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people have to put aside what they like and what they prefer and kind of understand the business element of it. Like, for example, I'm not a roller coaster guy, right? I don't care about roller coasters, but you know, Cosmic Rewind makes sense. You know, I mean, that park didn't have a whole lot of thrills. People love that attraction. I mean, most people get off of that thing going, oh my God, I want to go on it again, right? So just because I don't like it doesn't mean that it doesn't.
And you got off of it saying, oh my God, I'm never going on that again.
Exactly. And our friend Mindy did as well, right? We were like, no go for us. But you were like, oh my God, this is the best thing. You know, you had a blast with it. And most people have a blast with it.
Yeah. Now, the one thing is, I believe, and I don't want to quote because I don't want to say, but I think Mindy said she may try it again because she really wasn't feeling well during that time. So I believe she said she was going to give it another go to really make sure that if it's a ride that's really not for her.
Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. You're right, because she was under the weather. So
yeah,
that does make a difference. And that ride, you need to be, feeling kind of tip top.
Yeah, you do.
It does move you for sure. It's like the goat trick on Big Thunder, like times 30. So yeah, one thing I do want to mention too about the Disney cruises, which I thought was very, very cool, is the horn, the ship's horns.
Yes.
How like the Wonder has "When You Wish Upon a Star."
Mm-hmm.
So when they dock out, they go da na 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 na, and I thought that was cool. I wasn't expecting that, and I thought that was really fun.
Have you ever seen 2 Disney cruise ships go for like a horn off?
The horn off. I've seen it online. I haven't seen it. I never had the and not in person. It never happened.
I always wanted to be docked when another Disney cruise ship was there. Like have 2 Disney cruise ships like side by side.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. But yeah, you're right. The ship's horns are so unique. They do "When You Wish Upon a Star," "A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes." I also think they also have "A Pirate's Life for Me."
And I saw online Star Wars even.
Yes,
like the Imperial March. I think they got.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Crazy. Girly Nerd here says, "I'll try some things, but I'm still not riding Cosmic Rewind." Hey, Marianne, I don't blame you on that one. I wasn't feeling it. I mean, it was an experience. I'll say that much. My hair has been sticking up ever since. I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and close it out today. This is our all cruise line edition of OG55. We want to thank everybody for joining us. Girly Nerd, Donnie Land, BJ Vincent, Matthew Murr, the lovely Miss Mindy. We got Mike, maybe Alessio, Lucas Kim, Kaylee with 2 E's, Jacob Hearing. I you know what? My stupid computer failed on me. I didn't see you, Jacob. What's going on? Googamp, everybody, Slimer in the house, Seymour Duck. Thank you all so much for joining us. This episode of OG55. And actually, hold on one sec. We do have one more comment. Do they do shave and a haircut when passing? You know what shaving a haircut is, right, George?
Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Okay, do the No. But speaking of that, I mean, even though that wasn't with the question, but being that you mentioned a shave and a haircut, I actually did get a professional shave done at the Captain Hook's barbershop on the Wish. And I tell you what, that wasn't just a regular shave. That was an experience because you get the hand and arm massage, you get the neck and shoulder massage with the clean shave and everything. Oh man. Mindy actually filmed me. I didn't even know she was filming me, but she has the film footage of me getting my shave. And honestly, it's pretty pricey, but you know what? You're on vacation. You're on a Disney cruise.
Yeah.
Live your life to the fullest.
YOLO, George. YOLO. You know what I'm saying? YOLO. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. We're going to end this show like we always end our shows, with the lovely and talented Youngjin from the group La Seraphim. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, everybody.
세상은 누구에게나 공평하게 추악해.